Field Report Number FA0010, Cycle 47, Subject Species, Homo sapiens. Observed congregation within specialized enclosures labeled gyms, where individuals exchange currency for temporary access to heavy objects and resistance machines. Subjects then proceed to lift, pull, and repetitively strain their musculature to the point of visible discomfort, despite no immediate predatory threat or resource scarcity. Notably, this exertion is self-initiated and often scheduled. Participants display satisfaction post-activity, accompanied by mirror-facing rituals and digital self-documentation. Hypothesis: the species derives social validation and internal reward signals from simulated labor conditions. Rationale for paying to perform non-essential physical work remains unresolved. Subjects congregate inside structures filled with dense metal artifacts that appear to have no immediate survival function, yet they grasp and elevate these objects repeatedly until visible strain occurs. There is no construction, no transport of resources, and no apparent communal benefit achieved during this process, yet the participants exhibit satisfaction upon completion. Central Command initially hypothesized coercion or punishment, but surveillance confirms the behavior is voluntary and often financially self-funded. On our home world, heavy objects are moved only when relocation is required, and even then we employ anti-gravity assistance to minimize inefficiency. Humans, however, seem to pursue inefficiency as a goal, deliberately increasing resistance to amplify physical discomfort. The more difficult the object is to move, the more socially valued the act becomes. This suggests that perceived effort, rather than outcome, is the primary reward mechanism, which remains deeply illogical to our operational standards. Post-exertion, subjects frequently report sensations described as soreness or burning, which biological scans confirm to be minor tissue damage. Rather than avoiding this condition, they seek it out, and even express disappointment when it does not occur. Central Command notes that most intelligent species develop behaviors to minimize bodily harm, yet humans reinterpret these signals as indicators of progress. They will say phrases equivalent to "it hurts, therefore it is working," which reverses standard evolutionary logic. On our world, pain signals trigger immediate cessation and repair protocols, often accompanied by communal concern. Humans, by contrast, may celebrate these signals and attempt to recreate them repeatedly. This inversion suggests a cultural override of biological warning systems, possibly linked to long-term fitness adaptation, though the emotional satisfaction derived from mild injury remains perplexing. Within these facilities, reflective surfaces line the walls, and subjects frequently position themselves to observe their own bodies during exertion. They execute identical motions numerous times, often counting each repetition with precision, despite no variation in task requirement. The reflection appears to serve both corrective and evaluative functions, as individuals adjust posture while simultaneously assessing aesthetic changes. Central Command questions why such intense self-observation is necessary when internal sensory feedback should suffice. On our planet, physical calibration is automated and externally monitored, eliminating the need for self-surveillance. Humans, however, seem to derive motivation from watching themselves struggle, occasionally displaying satisfaction when visual indicators of strain become apparent. This suggests that identity and physical form are closely linked, and that observation itself enhances the perceived value of the activity. Despite occupying the same enclosed environment, subjects rarely communicate during the exertion process, maintaining a paradoxical state of collective isolation. They position themselves in proximity, often within arm's length, yet rely on devices placed in their ears to block external interaction. Central Command finds this contradictory, as most species either isolate completely for personal activity or engage collaboratively when in shared spaces. Humans instead choose a hybrid model where they are physically together but socially disengaged. Occasional brief exchanges occur, typically limited to requests for equipment access, after which silence resumes. The presence of others appears essential, possibly serving as a form of passive validation or competition, yet direct communication is minimized. This indicates a complex social dynamic where visibility matters more than interaction, a concept that does not align with our more efficient collective behaviors. Participants meticulously record numerical data related to their exertion, including quantities of weight lifted and number of repetitions completed. These values are compared over time, and even minor increases are treated as significant achievements. Central Command notes that the metrics themselves are self-imposed and lack external necessity, yet they hold substantial psychological importance. Humans will express satisfaction over adding a small increment of mass or completing one additional repetition, despite no change in immediate survival conditions. On our world, performance metrics are tied directly to functional outcomes, such as increased efficiency or resource acquisition. Humans, however, create abstract systems of measurement and derive meaning from progression within them. This suggests that improvement itself, independent of purpose, is a central motivator, which may explain the persistence of this otherwise non-essential and energy-intensive behavior.